going to be talking about The Glove, Part 1 and Part 2, which were two episodes of Paranormal State that, to be honest, there was so much that you didn't see. A whole season probably could have been made out of this one case. It was mind-blowing. It was a case where we actually did help. And again, there was just so much that happened that never made it to the public's eyes, simply due to time constraints. And that's one of the most difficult things about Paranormal State is that 22-minute format was just terrible. I mean, in 22 minutes, you're not even seeing the cliff notes of the cliff notes, It's really, really short. But this case was absolutely incredible from the start. For those of you that have never seen it, let me set up the premise here a little bit. The case was in Daisytown, Pennsylvania. There was a married couple named Eric and Lisa, and there were 3 children, I believe. I think there were 2 boys and 1 girl. And Lisa and the daughter are experiencing intense activity, but Eric and the boys experience absolutely nothing. And when I say intense activity, Lisa is saying things are flying around the house. She's getting scratched. The daughter is seeing full body apparitions. They're hearing footsteps, knockings on the wall, whisperings when they sleep. The full Monty, the whole bonanza of paranormal activity. Just about everything you can name, short of full-blown possession, is going on. But for some reason, only the females in the house are experiencing it. Now, the house itself sits on top of this old coal mine, okay, that ran right below it. And this is very common in Pennsylvania, where these old coal mines just run through an entire town. So someone buys a house and they think they're sitting on normal land, and they're actually sitting on a coal mine where hundreds of people died either from collapsed mines or the black lung or all kinds of illnesses related to old school coal mining, okay? That's what we know going into it, right? So this is I want to say my 3rd or 4th case that I ever did on Paranormal State. So I show up, and right away, Eric is just very standoffish about the whole thing. He is not a social guy. He does not appear to trust anybody. He's very, very short with any answer that he gives. He's not being conversational at all. You can tell that this whole thing, the episode, happened because his wife was reaching out and she really wanted to make this happen. And he was doing this for her more than anything else, but he just thought the whole thing was BS. So the episode starts, and at this time I'm not director or anything, I'm just a member of the team, and my job is to simply document. That's it. Keep that in mind. My job on Paranormal State, that's always what it was. It was never to intervene at all with the family or the clients. My job is to simply go in and document whatever may occur, and then afterwards give that documentation to Ryan and the team, and they can determine if that documentation aligns with the reports of what is going on, in the house. So, and as far as Eric goes, the reason I know that his conversation is short and all this stuff is because he's kind of shadowing me, and I'm noticing that he's around me a lot of the time for whatever reason. Can't really figure out why in the beginning. So a lot of the conversation that's happening with him, it just happens to be within earshot of me. And the other reason is just pure body language. You can just tell when somebody is not cool with what's going on. So after doing all the interviews with everybody, it's time for the first investigation, which I'm really interested to see what's going on because Lisa strikes me as excessively honest. She is very emotional. She is terrified for her children. You can just read the fear on her body. And that's one thing that I really learned to trust over time in cases involving clients, is honesty comes out of somebody, not necessarily in their words. It's in their eyes. It's in, the way their lips shake when they're scared. It's in The way they treat our arrival. If we show up and they're stoked and they want pictures right away, then I'm pretty sure they're probably bigger fans of the show than they have a problem. But if we show up and it never even crosses their mind to say, "Can I have a photo?" and immediately they want to talk to us because they're terrified, then at that point, then, you start thinking maybe this is a little more real than other cases. Lisa was not, you know, drowning in fandom. Lisa wanted help and she was terrified. And she was terrified for her children more than anything else. So the first dead time comes and it starts out really quiet. And we're downstairs moving through the main area of the house. And nothing really is going on. But I do have that feeling inside me that this place is haunted. I've talked about this before. It's almost like muscle memory. It's like when you've been to a place, when you've been to haunted places so many times, you just start knowing when something is there and when it's not. And I think everybody felt this way. The crew, the team, everybody the whole time felt uncomfortable inside the house. And so we decide that we're going to move from the main floor up to the second floor. And we go up to the second floor, and there's two rooms that are side by side at the top of the stairs. One of them is being worked on, like they're like refinishing it. They're tearing down walls and putting in new walls and new drywall and a new sheetrock. And then there's a second room that is just almost like a storage room. And that room is on the adjacent side. So one wall separates the two. So we're up in the main room that they're working on, that they're putting in new drywall. And that's where we have production set up. And what I mean by production set up is when you do the walkthrough with the psychics, there's certain lights they'll put in certain places so you can see people. When they walk in the room, you have to have light to film. So there's certain production lights that they'll place. And when we're done, just to save time, rather than break everything down, they'll just shut those lights off, right? So this room has four different production lights that are set up inside of it on four corners of the room. So in that room, we just have this feeling that something is there. Everybody agrees that this room just feels just creepy as can be, but nothing's happening yet. So after a while, because we can all feel this energy but nothing's happening, Ryan decides that he wants to bring Lisa and Eric into the room and see what happens. And specifically Lisa, because she is the one saying that this stuff happens to her. And you can just feel it, man. You can just feel the thickness of the creepiness increasing. It's just getting weirder and weirder. And you don't know why, but you can just feel it. You can just feel it. And I'm literally looking at her. She's about 10 feet away. And she's in one corner of the room. And I'm in the opposite corner of the room. We're separated by maybe, like I said, 10 feet or so. And right away, she starts to call out and basically say, if you're here, show yourself. And above my head, this is in the episode, one of those four production lights explodes. Just boom, this thing just blows up. Now, it's not on. It's not on. There's no power to it. It just explodes. And I just hear it explode, and glass just falls on the back of my neck, the back of my head. I feel glass hit my ear. And you didn't see this in the episode, but I go firing out of that corner, and no one knew at the time what happened, so everybody was just kind of like running in a different direction because it was so loud. And man, I smashed Lisa. I hit her so hard, and I didn't mean to. I did not. I felt so bad. I was just like, I'm so sorry, Lisa. I'm so sorry. But I'm telling you, man, when stuff goes off like that, when I go into startle mode, I was known for running people over. I probably ran Buell over 4 times. If you're in my way when that stuff goes off, yeah, you're getting flattened. That's it. So I could not believe that this light just exploded. I was like, what is going on? So once calmness prevails, uh, we kind of calm down the room, and I go to the other corner, right? A few seconds later, the light above my head explodes again. Just boom, goes off again. Again, everybody like panics and freaks out. I mean, this is one of the most fascinating things I had ever seen in my entire career. This happened for a third time. You saw two of them on the episode. This actually happened three times. 3 out of the 4 lights in that room, 3 out of the 4 production lights in that room exploded with no power running to them. So at that point, we already know we have some mind-blowing evidence on film. Now keep in mind, Eric was in this room as well. So he watched this happen. He watched these lights explode himself. He was there, okay? He was there. So the next day comes, we review the footage. There's just no explanation for this. There's no reason why these lights should have exploded. So we all internally are discussing the fact that we clearly believe this place to be haunted, and we need to be careful going into that dead time that night. So dead time comes, we go back to the room without the clients, just, the team. It's myself, Ryan, I think it's Taddy, and as far as the psychic goes, it was Michelle Belanger. And Michelle's there just because she's very intimidating. She's very good, but she's an intimidating, strong, powerful woman. And it's rumored that the grandfather, Eric's grandfather, who built the house, I don't know if I mentioned that already, it's rumored that he did not like outspoken women. Now, there's more to his story, but because it's Eric's family, I don't want to get the details wrong, and this was a long time ago. So just suffice to say, supposedly Grandpa was not good to women. So Michelle is there to provoke. And we go back to the room where the lights were exploding, and Michelle begins to provoke. Nothing is happening in the room, but you definitely have a very strong, weird vibe. And all of a sudden, after we take a break, after like an hour of nothing happening, we hear our audio guy freaking out, Shaw. And Shaw is one of the funnest guys I've ever been around, one of the funniest human beings I've ever been around. But he is freaking out because as Michelle was provoking, something grabbed him and just shook the shit out of him. He was sitting on the stairway, okay? How this works is the audio guy will have a wireless unit, meaning we're wearing wireless audio mics, and he has to be within the vicinity because that can only go through so many walls before you lose, your connection. So he's just sitting out on the stairway. Something grabbed him, shook him, and he freaked out and got out of the house, was terrified. Initially, there was discussion of him quitting. And what made this all the more real to me is he did not want the footage to be used in the episode for people to see it. He didn't want to see it. He was terrified by it because there was CCTV footage of this. And he did not give the okay to use the footage. He was just terrified. When stuff like that happens, when someone says, yeah, no, I don't want to see the footage. I don't want, it's like they're trying to scrub it from their memory. I mean, that stuff to me is just so much more believable than the person who wants to be on the episode. Shaw did not want that. That was not his role. He was terribly freaked out. Through a lot of conversation, he decided to continue on, thankfully, which is very difficult to do. And this happens a lot on Paranormal State. There's a lot of turnover. There's a lot of turnover. What I mean by turnover is there's a lot of crew that comes on believing that it's all fake, and then they find out the truth, and they're gone. That happened a lot. So we fire production back up. We go back into the room where the lights exploded, and again, nothing happens for a good period of time, and we decide we're going to shut it down. As we're walking out, the other room I referenced, that's kind of a holding room for a lot of different old furniture they have and different just things around the upstairs area. Um, I just get one of those vibes. So I go in there, I turn around, I sit down, I stabilize my camera where it can film the entire room. Unfortunately, you guys didn't see this footage on the episode. I don't know why they didn't use it. It might have been a timing issue. But what's great about that, my footage, is it shows the entire room and where everybody was. And right after I come in, Michelle comes in right behind me, then the cameraman, then Ryan with the thermal cam. And Ryan is scanning the room the whole time. Michelle's just standing with her back towards the wall. The cameraman's in the far corner of the room, posted up so he could film everybody. And you see Michelle walk down the length of an entire wall. She opens up a closet, a small closet, and talks about how it's small or something like that. And she comes back and she just kind of posts up again against the wall. Her hands never go higher than her stomach at all. And all of a sudden I hear Ryan say, "Michelle, did you touch that wall?" And she says, "No." And then I look on Ryan's thermal and you can see a handprint bigger than her head that is just clearly against the wall, bright as can be. It's just kicking off heat, immense heat. And I'm like, wow. And I can tell right away I can tell this is not her handprint. And the reason I could tell is because the thumb is facing in towards her ear. So you, the listener right now, stand against a wall, okay? Now, if there is a handprint on the right side of your head and the thumb is facing in, if you were to do that yourself, you'd have to take your left hand and put a handprint right next to your ear with the thumb facing in. Not only would it be difficult to do, you'd clearly see it. You'd have to twist and contort your whole body to do it. And there's just no way. She didn't do that. I have her on film the entire time. And not only that, again, the handprint is bigger than her head. So it's way bigger than her hand. And the handprint is just staying there. It's not like it's dissipating. It's like it's holding heat as though someone is just standing there and keeping their hand against the wall. In fact, you didn't see this as well. I know it was a timing issue. I put a fresh handprint right next to it. And my fresh handprint showed up and completely dissipated and disappeared before that handprint dissipates. So this was shocking. I mean, it was like something was standing there to let Michelle know, I'm right here. I'm right here. In my gut feeling, I believe Michelle was provoking, and I believe Grandpa wanted to let her know, I'm in this room with you. I'm face to face. I'm right here. It was some mind-blowing, scary stuff. Eventually, the handprint did dissipate, and we realized the following day we had some work to do to try and recreate this or figure out how this was possible.